Hello, everybody. So Charlie Kirk has been shot and he has been killed at a college event in Utah. This is just absolutely devastating, a tragedy, just absolutely sickening. Not only is Charlie Kirk somebody who is just extremely influential in American politics, especially on the right wing, but he is also a father. He is also a husband. He has a lot of life ahead of him, and he was just shot. It was brutal. We're not obviously going to show the video, but just brutally murdered senselessly at a political event where he was there, he was debating. And Charlie Kirk has always been somebody that's been respectful. He's somebody that is, unapologetic in his beliefs, but, he believes in free speech and debate. And even then, for whoever was out there, we don't know who shot him. The shooter is still at large. They've taken in 2 suspects that have been released, but we don't know who did it, so there's no official motivation. But I think we can understand and read between the lines that this was clearly some sort of politically motivated assassination attempt, most likely, given the circumstances, given what we see. And, he's somebody that is there to debate, and you have a lot of people that are becoming increasingly violent, mainly on the left, that can't exactly handle that. And we saw this with Donald Trump, with the assassination attempts on his life at Butler, and there was another one where you saw these things take place. Obviously, we don't really know much about at least the first shooter. We know his name. We don't even know who shot Charlie Kirk here, but the story is still developing. But it's just absolutely tragic. And this is what happens when you have this political climate where you have a media that is just full of these liars that are trying to manipulate. They're going increasingly crazy. The more they're losing their grip on power, the crazier they're getting. And you have a society where you have a lot of people that are very psychotic, mentally ill, and they're taking advantage of these people and essentially turning them into their foot soldiers one way or another. It's not everybody on the left for sure, but it's a lot of people, and it's too many people on the left to ignore. And there's not a lot of people on the left that are willing to call out their own problem. They just want to, point fingers at people that they claim are like on the right that are causing drama or whatever. And you see this. And in fact, this is their knee-jerk reaction, was to say that it very possibly was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, which is absolutely ridiculous. The shot was fired like 2 football fields away. We don't know who did it. We just know that it seemed like that person was not, they were like, in terms of their training, they had a great deal of it. And for them to just go out there and say this, it's ridiculous that that's their knee-jerk reaction. But also MSNBC, you have this guy. We'll play this clip here, but these people, you cannot hate the media enough. You really cannot.
Lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
So you see what they're doing. They're already blaming the victim, saying he has these awful words. He's there to debate. You can't even name the awful words. You can't even articulate them. You just say he's a bad guy. They call right-wingers all sorts of names on, the media, and it's on social media, and they're just painting this boogeyman, and you're now seeing how people are reacting to that. And so many people on the left, you do have, yes, a lot of these politicians are going to release their statements saying violence is unacceptable, but you have so many people, and these are a good segment of the online left, and what you see them doing on places like Blue Sky is absolutely just disgusting and ridiculous. You have people going out there that are praying for him to be dead, people that are cheering, just absolutely disgusting stuff. You have Reddit. So regardless, it's insane what you're seeing, but you have so many people that just don't really value life on the left. And we saw this with what the Luigi Mangione guy did, where he becomes their hero. And then you see somebody like Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player, but the high schooler that stabbed the white guy to death who was unarmed. They sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to his GoFundMe. And then, just a week and a half ago, Donald Trump took a few days off of vacation. Biden spent an entire presidency on vacation, but then they were going out there saying Trump is dying, and so many of these people were just cheering on the possibility of him dying, even though he was clearly fine. I mean, it's insane. These people, it's not everyone on the left, but it's too many of them, and you cannot reasonably coexist in a society where people actually want you to be dead. You just cannot. There's so many people out there with all these problems. Bring back the asylums and stop stoking the fear on, social media or the media in general, where you have all these people and you're just lying and you're taking things out of context, you're sensationalizing them just so you can, push a narrative for political gain, and it's not working. It's not working. You're not winning. You're losing the country in the process. You're losing it. And the more they lose it, the more you're going to have people that are lashing out like this, and the more you're going to have these tragedies because of the fact that the left is losing the culture, they're losing the country, and they can't handle it. They really can't. And you see stuff like this. These people are not human. They devalue life just because of certain disagreements. And those are people that are not really what should not be welcomed in a functioning society. And like I said, it's not everybody on the left, but it's a large segment. There's far more people on the left like this than people on the right like this. And the politicians on the left that will, claim that they're against something like this will do nothing to put out the fire on their own side, where you have all these people and you have this culture that's growing on the left of people celebrating it. This whole Luigi Mangione thing happened. He gets celebrated. And obviously, Charlie Kirk, he's somebody that's a much bigger political person, even if it, turns out that the motivation was not necessarily from one of these people. The fact that they're celebrating it should tell you something. It should tell you something about how the left operates, especially a very large chunk of the modern left, which is, a growing chunk of the left, and now we know. And it's funny because Charlie was a very respectful guy. He was always about open discussion. He was always about debate, the free exchange, free marketplace of ideas. This is a guy who went out there to change people's minds. He engaged with people, and he got shot doing so. And our country will never be the same without him. When it comes down to the most prominent people on the right, obviously you have Donald Trump, but you could make a very strong case that before he was shot to death today, that Charlie Kirk was number two. He is somebody that has a very large audience. He is somebody that is, all over the media with all these clips that people are posting of, events like these, and just all the minds that he's changed and the young people that he's reached, and his apparatus with Turning Point USA, that's all him. He has, done a great amount of work with Turning Point Action, which, had the ground game going and had played a major part in Donald Trump's comeback election victory in 2024. This is a very influential guy. Maybe you could make the case somebody like a J.D. Vance is up there too, because he's the natural successor to Trump. But besides Trump, it's really just Charlie Kirk. He's probably the second or third most influential person on the right wing. And he's always kind of been this barometer for where the right is. He's moved more to the nationalistic, populist side of things as time has gone on, and as the right has moved in that direction too. And he's changed a lot of people's minds on the right, even, kind of shifting their viewpoints from more weaker viewpoints to more conservative, more nationalistic, populistic viewpoints in line with where they need to be in order to save this country. So he's somebody that's been a major major, influential power player in politics, and now he's been assassinated. He's just had his life taken away from him, and he was 31. It's just very sad. I've never met the guy in my life. I've seen him speak and things like that, but I've never met him. But it still feels like it's like a personal loss. Like, it's just awful. And you have this culture on the left that is breeding these people to do this. We saw what happened at that one school in Minnesota recently. You're seeing it all over. Donald Trump, 2 assassination attempts on him. Similar feeling. The difference is that, we saw Trump was okay. Charlie Kirk, he was just like taken out directly, and an hour later or so, he was pronounced dead. So just an absolute tragedy. And he's got very big shoes to fill, and I think he would want his legacy to live on. He was always about, the younger generations, and but at the same time, he was only 31, so it's just really tough, really tough. He was a very transformational figure on the right, and he's just been killed. And this is a very, very tragic event, and things like this don't usually happen. And I have I don't want to say this, as a prediction that I want to be right, because I want it to be wrong, but it feels like, this type of stuff is becoming more common. It shouldn't be more common, but it's becoming more common. And we got to find a way to stop it. And there's so many people out there. Anybody who's out there celebrating this thing should be just put in jail, because these people need to be taught a lesson that this stuff is not okay. You're playing with people's lives here. This is not, something that you could just go out there and just meme on social media or whatever. Learn how to be a decent, functional human being. Somebody's getting killed, senselessly killed. It's tragic, and it should never happen in this country or anywhere in the world. So it's ridiculous. Rest in peace, Charlie. And it's just a tragic, tragic loss. And our politics and our country will never be the same. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.